live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Thursday, July 27th, going in depth tonight on Rocky Mountain Power and what they're doing in neighborhoods in terms of power shutoffs. We talk about this almost every summer. They need to do the work. How are they doing it in a certain community, and how are people feeling about it? We'll get to that in just a moment. Also, we are talking about a shift from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. It's not the Utes, maybe at this point. Let's get to your headlines right now. Taking a look at some of the things you can find on our website, KUTV.com. We've got new information about that F-35 crash that happened at Hill Air Force Base back in October. It's been months. The report just came out today. It shows that during the landing, the pilot experienced issues due to turbulence from another aircraft. He was also following too closely. Some of you take notes on our roads. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints holding a funeral service for Patricia Holland tomorrow. She's the wife of Elder Jeffrey R. Holland. The service happening at 11 a.m. at the Conference Center Theater downtown. Also in our headlines tonight, a bomb squad called to Paradise Valley after dynamite was found in an abandoned mine shaft. This is in Nevada. Elko police say it was found by a boy wandering into a mine. The bomb squad entered this mine. They disposed of the dynamite as well as some blasting caps on the ground. Something you don't want to come across in a mine. Don't go in them. There's a new license plate available for people who want to save the Great Salt Lake. It features a pelican flying over water on the side with the words restore, preserve, and protect on the bottom. That is just the next license plate here in Utah. We've also got the new black and white one too. They're pretty cool. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch during the show. You can use the hashtag 2NewsLive and join our conversation. We are on the socials. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send a direct message to any of those platforms to weigh in. Let's go in depth tonight. Thousands of people in Eagle Mountain, they're not happy. After they had their power out for a while, now they're probably happier now with their power restored. It was turned off for equipment repairs, but why did Rocky Mountain Power have to turn off the electricity in the middle of the summer? And are there any potential problems that residents may have to worry about in the near future? The answers, Paul Nelson, live in Eagle Mountain. Paul, why couldn't Rocky Mountain Power wait for months or until later in the year to make such repairs?
Exactly. I mean, because they normally do that kind of thing when they have to do preventative maintenance repairs. They try to do that in the spring or the fall when the temperatures aren't so bad. In this case, though, however, there were very specific conditions that led to them needing to make these emergency repairs. For one, there was a different utility company that accidentally cut one of the underground power lines for Rocky Mountain Power. And so they were able to kind of shunt things to a different circuit. But eventually there was also failure at one of their substations. They are still investigating why that happened. They don't exactly know. It could have been the heat, could have been other things. So eventually it came to the point where they had a stopgap solution, but that was only going to last a very short time. It wasn't sustainable. So they did have to shut the power off while they'd made major repairs to the substation that fed Eagle Mountain. Now, they actually were thinking that they were going to have to shut off the power at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but because of the temporary solution, they were able to push it back till 11 o'clock. And residents say by the time around, say, 2:30 in the morning, the power was back on. But for a while, around 12,000 customers for Rocky Mountain Power just didn't have any juice to their homes.
So it sounds like at least it was the middle of the night for the most part, right? I mean, we've heard from Rocky Mountain Power. Were there really any residents impacted by this?
There were some that we spoke with that said that, yeah, their baby monitors, were on the fritz. And matter of fact, that's how they kind of help their kids to go to sleep in the first place, is they have noise machines. So it was kind of an uncomfortable night. Luckily, no major kind of, say, medical equipment was affected, though, not like CPAP machines that were unable to be used. From what we're hearing, we didn't get any reports of that. Not to say that it didn't happen, but Rocky Mountain Power does have this thing where if you do have, say, a dependence on electricity for your medical equipment, say like CPAP machines, you can actually get a medical certification through them. You go to your doctor, basically you get a note from your doctor, and you send that to Rocky Mountain Power, and once they have that, they can actually make a priority to have those homes fixed first, so that they can have power as quickly as possible. They try to make that outage basically last as little as they possibly can. But yeah, so if people are dependent on electricity for medical equipment, you can get special consideration by going through the billing section of Rocky Mountain Power's website.
Just glad the power's back on tonight. Thank you, Paul. Let's take a look at wildfire that popped up this afternoon. This is a time lapse from Cameron, Nevada, showing a fire burning in very remote western Utah. Federal officials with the Bureau of Land Management say the Betridge fire is burning on the east slope of the Pilot Range. This is north of Wendover, just within Utah state boundaries, some pretty remote terrain. Taking a look at the time lapse here from an alert wildfire camera. It's showing that billowing smoke, and then this photo here from Air Attack circling that fire. Estimated roughly 100 acres. Really won't have a better size up until it's mapped. It was reported this afternoon. Now, fire managers say they're experiencing some active fire behavior. Number of air and ground resources working on this right now. Not really sure of an official cause. However, you may remember we talked about this on 2 News Live earlier this week. In this part of the state, in Box Elder County, they have had plenty of lightning to deal with and fires that were caused from it. You can never rule out the human element, but they've been scrambling in that part of the state. So with that natural segue to the Trent Parker in here, filling the big shoes for Chase Thomason. Nice to have you here.
Yeah,
What's
thanks.
this? What's this triple digit?
Officially today, 100 degrees as of just 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
So yeah, another 100 degree day to add on to the board. Some gusty winds this morning too, so that's not doing too good for the firefighters out there fighting that fire. So.
Yeah, and you've been talking about this in some of your forecasts too. The lightning events that have been moving through with some of these cells over the past few weeks. Even it seems like almost on a dime. Mid to late afternoon, they're rolling through.
Yeah, especially out over the West Desert. Lots of development out in that area. It's kind of like the breeding ground for all these storms here in Utah. So lots of lightning, lots of gusty winds. I'm sure either, human caused it or it could potentially have been a natural cause fire.
Let's take a look at your forecast.
Of course, yeah, 100 degrees today. That'll add on to our numbers of 100 degree days for this year. We're now up to 9, which is just 1 day above normal. We usually see about 8 of those 100 degree days every year. 34 last year, the record. Hopefully we don't get anywhere close to that, but we'll just have to wait and see. We have about a month left of potentially some 100 degree weather. We do have some issues with our air quality, primarily the ozone. So that's that near surface ozone that interacts with the UV coming through from the sun and that hot temperature near the surface and our pollution, and it creates these secondaries that end up eventually forming ozone, which is not great to breathe in here down at the surface. So if you're going to be active over the next couple of days, especially when it's going to be hot, make sure you do it in the morning when those ozone levels are slightly lowered. Okay, all of our moisture right now off to the east, so Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, seeing a whole lot of thunderstorm activity, and for the most part, us here in Utah, we're staying dry because we've got some dry air moving in out of the west. We do have a couple of pop-up showers here across the Wasatch Front. Nothing really all that eye-catching. In fact, probably not seeing a whole lot of rain out there right now, but we do have some storms out there in the Uinta Basin. This will be the hot spot for the night tonight. If anything goes up, it's going to be in this area. So we're talking about Duchesne, Vernal, and over towards Jensen and the Colorado border there on US 40. We've also got a couple of these thunderstorms popping up near Escalante, Capitol Reef. You could be seeing a couple of these rainstorms. Again, nothing too severe or heavy, so we won't be expecting any kind of flash flooding or extremely gusty winds out of these events. A couple of storms now just to the south of Page and southeast of Page. We've got a couple more storms trying to develop there south of Kanab that'll eventually try to push in to the Lake Powell area over the next couple of hours. In St. George, it's been 40 days without rain. That's right, a whole month and then some without any kind of measurable rain. Last time they saw something was on June 17th, and they only got 0.02 of an inch. So hopefully we're not going to be tying that record anytime soon. Drought monitor, here's your update. Last week, no change. So we're pretty much keeping it in the dry category for most of central Utah. Moderate drought conditions for portions of that I-70, I-15 junction near Richfield. Lows tonight, 50s up in Logan, 50s out in southwest Wyoming as well, 60 in Vernal. We'll get into the 70s here across the Wasatch Front, mid to lower 70s for the most part, 77 down there in St. George. And tomorrow we're going to bump those temperatures right back to where they were today. We're looking for hundreds across the Wasatch Front, 90s elsewhere, 107 in Moab, 104 in Page, and 108 down there in St. George under clearing skies. Future radar through the night has those showers pushing out completely by tomorrow. So we're looking for drier and warmer weather through the weekend. High pressure's in control. It's going to move up to the north, keeping us high and drought through the weekend. And then we're going to see some moisture slipping around on the backside of that high as we head towards the early part of next week. And we're going to see some cooler temperatures as a result, going from 102 on Sunday down to a high temperature of 91 here in Salt Lake City by the time we get to the middle of next week. St. George, 108 tomorrow. We're going to keep it at 108 through Saturday, cooling off slightly for Sunday, but check out all those thunderbolts we got in your 7-day forecast. We're rolling thunderstorms, a slight chance Saturday through Wednesday, and maybe that'll put an end to that streak of dry weather down there in St. George. 101 tomorrow here in Salt Lake City. We'll keep 102 for the weekend. Our chance of thunderstorms come Monday through Thursday here in Salt Lake City before we dry out at the end of next week and things start heating up again. So,
Trent, you know, those triple digits, I think we were looking at a couple years ago when we just had this line of 100-degree days for it felt like 2 weeks straight. This isn't bad.
no, not too bad. As long as we're going hundreds and then back down, and we're not keeping that 100-degree mark there for the next 7 days every single time we show that 7-day forecast, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
I'm already thinking about snow. Am I alone here?
No, you're not.
I'm
no.
ready for it.
Yeah, a couple months away.
Thank you, Trent. Remember, you can download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts, some live radar right on your phone. The app is free to download. Well, a shakeup in the Pac-12 conference this afternoon with the University of Colorado meeting to potentially leave the conference. The meeting with the regents, University of Colorado school president, the chancellor, and athletic director only lasted about 15 minutes or so. The end result, the regents voted unanimously to leave the Pac-12 conference at the end of this year. We'll get to Dave Fox in a moment. Some regents said that this is the best path forward. Some mentioning the impact this will have on football, while others saying the benefits to this are about the student body and all athletics. The board voted unanimously 9-0 to move from the Pac to the Big once again. The Buffs left the Big 12 for the Pac-12 in 2010. They began playing football the next year, 2011. They will rejoin the Big 12 for the 2024-2025 academic year. Noting uncertainty with the future of the Pac-12, that swayed the vote of some of these board members. The Utes will host Colorado, Rice-Eccles, November 25th. We reached out to BYU today, who's now in the Big 12, competing in that conference this year. Athletic Director Tom Homo sending us a statement saying, this is a great addition that will continue to make the conference stronger. We look forward to many great Big 12 competitions between BYU and Colorado within the Intermountain West in the years ahead. Also hearing from BYU President Shane Reese, also statement form. We're excited for Colorado to join the Big 12. Hope the Buffaloes feel as welcomed as we have as new members of the conference. So how will this impact University of Utah and their standing in the Pac-12? I think there are so many questions about what happens next.
There's so much to unpack in all of this, Brian. Now, first thing, let's talk a little bit about Colorado. You mentioned that they came from the Big 12. They've never really been comfortable in the Pac-12, never competed. They've been to one bowl game. It's been a miserable run. This makes sense for them. Now we talk about Utah and some of the other schools. Don't forget Utah, Oregon, Washington. Those are top-level programs that are going to be just fine no matter where they end up. They're going to end up somewhere, whether it's an expanded Pac-12 or Big 12, Big 10, who knows. Because in another 6-7 years from now, the college landscape, Brian, is going to look completely different. There may be, some are saying there may be 2 or just 3 power conferences. What will they be? Will they be, well, certainly the SEC and the Big 10. Who will be the third one? Probably the way it's looking right now, it could be the Big 12. And Utah, Oregon, Washington, they're all going to find a seat at the table at somewhere in those conferences.
You've seen it mostly on the eastern side of the country, the dramatic movement of conferences and people kind of shuffling already.
Yeah.
So to think that it's going to look even different in the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, yeah, completely.
It's crazy because they used to be so geographically focused. Now it doesn't really matter, and it's all about chasing the dollar to some extent.
Although the Big 12 would like to extend that footprint and get some Western schools, Colorado's made, quite frankly, prime time. Deion Sanders, he came right out and said, I'd love to be back in the Big 12 so we can have the Texas element, recruiting down there. So, and don't forget this, Brian, as well. The Big 12, remember a year ago when the commissioner said, we're open for business. They're not done. They had targeted, they wanted what we call the four corner schools, the 2 Arizonas, Utah, and Colorado. Colorado is ready to jump. Utah and Arizona have been moderately loyal to the Pac-12, waiting for the commissioner, George Kliavkoff, to come up with this media rights deal. He has botched this. It has taken forever. He's dragging his feet. And now the question becomes, how long does Utah and these other schools remain patient? Because they want to see something. They want to see what these dollars are going to be. And the hints out there is that it's going to be even bigger than the Big 12's television deal. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. And who knows, a lot of different directions to go, and maybe the Pac-12 tries to do some more expanding. But The next thing that has to happen, George Kliavkoff, Pac-12 commissioner, got to have a media rights deal and let your schools see what that is and what it's worth before they can make their next decision. And if it's not worth a lot, you're in even more trouble.
So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when for this shuffle to take place.
There's no question. And Kyle Whittingham has even said that, the coach of the Utes. He said, hey, things are going to look completely, and we all know that. You know, when the college football playoff expands and things, and by the way, everything's driven by football, you know that. Until all that, it's going to look completely different. And it'll happen more rapidly than the last go-around. You know, although, you know, Texas, Oklahoma, bolting, this is their last year in the Big Ten. It's the last year in the Pac-12 for USC and UCLA before they start shuffling around. A lot more to come. Hold on.
Yeah, hang on tight. I think everybody's wondering what will happen, of course, in this state right here. What will happen to Utah?
Listen, don't worry about Utah. Utah's not going to, you know, suddenly be playing in the Big Sky next year. Okay, they're going to be just fine.
Nothing wrong with the Big Sky. Let's put that out there.
This is a top-level national program that's been to 2 straight Rose Bowls. They've got 2 straight Pac-12 championships. They're going to be just fine. They are right up there, as I said, with Oregon and Washington as the most attractive teams in the Pac-12. Now, if you're Washington State or Oregon State, maybe even Cal, I'd be really nervous right now if that league falls apart.
Well, I'm sure we'll have this discussion again. It might look different. It might be in 6 months. It might be in 3 years. It might be in 10 years.
Time. Could be in a couple of weeks.
I'm hoping for it.
You never know.
At least I got you on the purple memo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. As we want to hear from you at home, as always, where will Utah end up in the next round of conference realignment? When will this happen? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to weigh in. Right now, the majority of you saying we're going to remain in the Pac-12. Time will tell. 25% saying move to the Big 12 seems to be the hot topic. Thanks for joining us for 2 News Live. We will be back with you tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Thanks for being with us. If you missed anything from our conversations, it's all on our website, KUTV.com. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow.